everyone, and welcome down to episode number 85. 85, that's got to be something good, of the Down South Photo Show with me, Brendan Waits, here in Ocean Grove, Victoria, Australia. And the guy on the other screen or in your other ear, if you are listening to the podcast, it's Cam Blake back in Hobart, Tasmania. Hello, Cam.
Yeah. Hello. How you going?
Yeah, grouse. A lot going on, isn't there?
There is a lot going on at the moment.
There's a lot for us to concentrate on. We are recording this during the first session of the third Ashes test. And
yes,
Cam and I are cricket tragics. We're happy to admit that.
So if you see me looking up there, maybe looking at a TV, it might be just pondering thoughts. I'm not too sure.
Yeah. You'll be doing a lot of thinking tonight.
A lot of pondering.
Yeah, that's right.
And I've all of a sudden become Tourette.
That's right. Yeah.
I might start putting a few words out there. No, I'm good. Back in, like I said, back in Hobart. Saw your good-looking mug the other day at the shop. Came in and helped you out again.
Thank you.
I have to start asking for a wage the amount of times I've been in your shop this year.
It's I'm not gilding the lily when I say this either, that Cam walks in and so do all the customers. He's famous, this man.
Isn't it ridiculous? Like the other day, we were sitting there and it was quiet when I walked in, and then it was just like peak hour.
Yeah.
So
just when I want to sit and have a chat with my mate and, catch up a bit. Nah, too busy. Sorry. Not complaining. It's good to be busy.
You're like, Cam, piss off. There's too many people coming in. It's been good to catch up, and you got those nice big canvases which are sitting over the back there for me. So I appreciate that.
They made it in one piece.
They did. I was actually going to move them out of the back of the ute where I put them into the back seat.
Yeah.
And I never got around to it, but because you wrapped them so carefully and professionally,
of course,
they didn't move around at all. So it was good. So
excellent.
Yeah.
So where have you been, Cam?
I've been here.
We missed a week, so we better apologise for that.
We did miss a week, yeah.
Yeah.
I thought I was going to be able to do a recording when I was at the Flinders Ranges, but it just became when like time just gets away from you. Like, even though like that's a classic saying, but we get back for sunset wasn't late. We get back, we'd have dinner. By the time we finished dinner, it was 8:30 or something like that.
Yeah.
And by the time you get back to your room and settle down, it's like the last thing I want to do is record a podcast. I want to go to bed. I'm absolutely knackered.
Yeah. Well, you've been on the go all day with your customers and
we've been photography,
up
since 6:30 every morning. We're up doing stuff. So I've been in Flinders Ranges. We had a fantastic time. We had a bit of weather. We had all the cloud was all amongst the mountains, which I've never seen before. Really,
would be kind of rare, wouldn't it?
I don't think it happens too often. But geez, I tell you what, there's a lot of water in Central Australia or Central South Australia. Yeah, like truckloads of water.
Mm-hmm.
We flew up over what was it, Lake Eyre, towards Lake Eyre, and it was chock-a-block. Even the pilot said, look, we haven't seen this for years like this. And this is not even when it's meant to be flooded. So, it was really good. We had a great group of people and got to see some beautiful sights and took some lovely photos. And, it was good. So fantastic. It was a good week to have.
Yeah, I kept up with your social media posts and a couple of the photos. Yes. The classic old windmill in front of the range.
Yes.
That is an absolutely, like, it almost looks fake. It's that good, that spot. And when you had video and you were sort of walking up to your customers who were using their tripods, and I was like, man, that doesn't look real. Like, it's so good.
Yeah. It's a great location. We were lucky to get there actually, because the road that leads through the gorge to, I think it's the Morillana Gorge Road, that was closed for a couple of days. So we had to go around the long way, and we just picked the right night. I picked the right night.
Of course you did.
I did, yeah. Picked the right night to be there, and it was probably in the top 2 sunsets I've seen there. So
good.
It was pretty good. So What about you? What have you been up to apart from working?
Yeah, well, had a fantastic few days over the last weekend scouting locations for our Mallee Murray workshop.
Yes.
Which, sorry folks, is sold out, but it'll probably happen again next year. So put in your diaries. Which we are running in October. Took school holidays, so my lad came with me, which was awesome to spend some time with the boy. He's turning 15 soon, so where the hell has that gone? So it was a good father-son road trip. He's
the youngest too.
Yeah, that's right. How does that make me feel?
Old.
Went up through sort of your side skirt Ballarat, and you go through the beautiful town of Avoca, which is underrated. Avoca. I don't know. I'm drawn to Avoca. I think it's a fantastic part of the world. And then up through St Arnaud, and then into the Upper Wimmera and into the Mallee. So very, very fortunate in that I got a couple of great contacts to go and check out some shearing sheds, which I'm very hopeful that we'll get to photograph in as part of the workshop. Shearing sheds have a real allure to them for photographers. I think they do anyway, particularly when they're functioning, when the shearing's actually happening. So a good friend of mine put me onto a shearer in the Mallee, just south of Sea Lake, and fortunately enough, they were there to show me around and show me and my boy around. And it was an awesome property. So I'm really buzzing for that. I reckon that's going to be sensational.
I've never actually been in a live shearing shed. I've seen shearing sheds, past their time, or in the off season, if they have an off season or whatever it is. But I've never actually been there when it's all been happening. So
from a photographic point of view, there's just so much happening when they're in full flight. So it starts outside when you've got the sheep all being mustered into the holding pen, and you'll have the kelpies literally running across their backs and the whole bit and helping the farmers out. Cool. Yeah, that is really cool. So that's a shot that I would dearly love to get. But hey, well, by the wonders of modern technology, we're back in an episode. The power just went out here in good old Ocean Grove because it's only 2023.
Yeah, and was there a storm going past? Is there?
Could have been like, someone drove past a power pole or something.
Someone's been downloading. So I was going to say someone's been downloading too much.
Well, no doubt.
Episodes of the Down South Photo Show. That's what they've been doing.
Correct. And while to our viewing audience and our listeners didn't skip a beat, we've just been out of action for 15 minutes, but there you go.
We're into day 4 of the test match.
That's right. Good match. I'm on my 48th beer.
It's awesome.
Yeah, that's right. So
where were we, Brendan?
We were talking about shearing sheds and how awesome that. And what I was about to say was the thing that makes shearing sheds so good is the light inside them. So generally speaking, in the dust. Generally speaking, they have sort of higher up windows and the light comes in and the light filters through the dust. I tell you, there's one thing about a shearing shed that never leaves you is the smell.
I was going to say the smell and the flies.
Yeah, so it's the lanolin that comes out of the wool is the smell that stays in a shearing shed forever. And it's
I know someone who listens to this podcast who's actually going to be there on the Murray Mallee workshop.
Okay,
and he used to work in the wool industry.
Well, he's going to probably either love it or hate it. So he's probably going to say,
hang on, I just did 40 years of this.
That's right. What am I doing photographing this bloody thing? But we'll see.
Now I'm paying people to take me here. How does this work?
That's right. Work for us.
Joke's on you.
Yeah, exactly.
I like I said as well, I haven't been in a shearing shed, active shearing shed. But I tell you where I have been. I've been in a knackery and taken photos at a knackery for uni. It was one of our assignments.
Unusual.
Yeah, we had to go to this knackery because it was a sort of a forensic photography based not workshop. What are we talking about? Course I was doing.
Yes.
It was about that shock and awe and blood and gore and all that kind of stuff and dealing with that. And we had to go down. Cool. It was down Geelong, down your way somewhere.
Was it?
It was on the way down and we had to go there. It was a terrible experience.
I bet.
I never knew how a knackery worked. I don't think I want to go back to one ever again. But yeah, anyway.
Fair enough. All right. Well, now with all the glitches and stuff out of the way, hopefully, I would like to thank all 577 of you for subscribing to the YouTube channel. Thank you. If you haven't subscribed to the YouTube channel, just down there, little subscribe button. See it? Yeah. Hit that.
Press it. We're only 10 minutes in, which is great. And we've had a power shortage and we've thanked a few things. We've already got so much off our chest already. It's great. It beats listening to other photography podcasts where they're 45 minutes in and they're still talking about how good they are and how much they love each other. I'm hoping that people listening to our little beautiful podcast here actually get into it earlier and they don't have to press that to go forward 20 seconds.
That's right. To actually get to the main topic of conversation.
Not even the main topic, just something of interest would be good.
Yeah. Now, can I make an apology?
For them? Sure.
no, but it's completely my fault. So we had every intention, this being the first podcast of July, it is now July, and we missed one last week, of announcing the winner of our June photography competition.
And the winner is?
The winner is to be announced in one more week's time, because me, this little black duck over here, just simply hasn't had enough time to go through the plethora of entries. And I'm not gilding the lily there either. It's true. We have had a lot of entries. They're all very, very high quality. And I want to take my time picking a goddamn winner, if that's okay.
True. There has been a lot more entries than we probably anticipated, which is great.
Yes, it's excellent.
It is excellent. And there is, we originally said, let's not narrow it down to our top 5 each.
Yeah.
And even that's hard. And then we've got to try and pick a winner out of that. So, yeah, apologies. We need another week to make sure that we make the right decision.
Yes.
And not just give away a prize for the sake of giving away a prize.
Correct. And what we can announce, though, is we are also going to do a People's Choice Award. So we're going to put up onto our Facebook page, I'm assuming, the entries, and you'll be able to go on there, and People's Choice these days normally means the one that gets the most likes. So
yes,
we're going to hand that over to you guys to jump on, peruse, and click away.
We're going to make a rule, though.
Yes,
because I hate these popularity contests.
Because you can't vote. You can't vote on your own piece.
You can't vote on your own piece, and I don't think we should allow people to share. I know that sounds completely counteractive to what we're trying to do.
Counterintuitive.
Counterintuitive. But when people go, "Oh, I'm in the top 5 of this. Go and vote for my thing."
Yeah,
and they share it out.
I'm with you.
They share it out to the masses.
I'm with you.
I don't want to see that. I want people just to generically go onto our site and have a look.
Yeah.
If you're in that top 5, you won't be allowed to share it out and say, "Hey, go vote for me," or go share it around. Even though that might bring more people to our little podcast page. It's not about that. We want this just to be a generic, proper sort of popularity contest, not by someone who's got lots of friends versus someone like Brendan who doesn't have any.
No, zero. Particularly when the power goes out. I've got no friends sitting here in the dark, I tell you.
Unbelievable. But I know, we got some great entries, and and the public vote, or the popular vote. Am I going to give away a voucher for the person that wins that one as well?
Sure.
Let's do it. Should we just do like a $200 voucher, the same as the winning one, or should we make it 100?
The winner of the comp gets a $200 gift voucher from Ocean Grove Camera and Photo, a fine establishment.
I reckon we make the popular vote, make it a $100 voucher from me. We can't have the popular vote outrating the.
I agree. So there'll be a $100 voucher from Cam. To use on anything, Cam.
They can use it on anything. If they want to buy me beer, they can buy me beer with it. That doesn't work that way. No, they can use it. They can use it on books. They can use it on prints. They can put it towards a workshop. We do some daily workshops, which are around about that price sometimes. So
sounds very good. Now, speaking of workshops, are we prepared to have a little teaser about another one that we're going to announce, or are we going to hold off on that?
What do you reckon? Maybe.
I think
have we actually organised
we can
that
tease it. We haven't. No, of course we haven't. But we are going to tease it out.
All right.
So
tease me, Brendan. Tease me.
Stay tuned for a very exciting workshop that might be a little bit closer to my backyard in 2024. The main reason I want to bring it up is because the workshops we've already announced.
Don't say where it is.
No, I won't. I wasn't going to.
Okay.
I said it might be a little bit closer to my backyard than yours. That's all.
Yes,
is that too much? Yeah. The reason I wanted to mention it is because thanks to all our fantastic listeners and subscribers, we've actually sold out 2 of our workshops already. Well, technically we've actually sold out 4 because we've done 2 on the Ballerine and they all happened. But the Murray Mallee sold out, and the Tassie one we're doing in April next year has also sold out. So thank you so much for everyone, and I'm so looking forward to seeing your smiling faces on those workshops. Anyway, we digress.
I was just about this. I was going to give a hint to where it might be, because I learnt this back in the day about this certain location, that it's a war memorial.
Okay, it is,
and it's
correct.
It's the longest war memorial in the world.
There you go. We'll leave it at that. And
yeah,
people comment below if you think you know where it is.
Yeah, and, no prizes for guessing. You get nothing.
And we'll pat you on the back. your background, Cam, it looks very Flinders Ranges, I guess.
It does. I'm going to try and do
I'm going to
this.
send you to full screen. You are now in full screen.
Okay, I'm going to lose power. So yes, this is this is a view from, I think it's called Stokes Lookout. It's actually looking probably more northeast from the Flinders Ranges, so almost the opposite direction. I don't know exactly what this range is called. I could probably have looked it up and made it a bit more professional with that. But it was a beautiful night. We went up there close to sunset. We had another sunset shot down the road that we went to as well. But the thing I love about this, and I wrote in the notes there that it's a pretty unique shot because it's actually shot on 35mm film. So I took my film camera to the Flinders Ranges as well, and this is shot on Kodak Portra 160. And I thought I'd just go through a couple of rolls, and yeah, it's good. It was a beautiful night and beautiful light going through there, and I was pretty happy with the results. So I thought I'd make it my background.
Absolutely, that's fantastic. Can I ask who processed your film for you?
Van Bars in Collingwood.
Yes.
Not Collingwood. Good. They're in somewhere, Fitzroy.
Yeah. Fitzroy. I was on the Van Bar website today, and I love the Van Bar website because it really does look like it was made in 1998. Their website,
yeah, that has not changed since we were working at Camera House.
Yeah, isn't that funny? They've just sort of stuck with. Obviously, works for them. So
it's a nightmare going in there, though. They've got so much stuff like physically going in there. Like you go in there to drop film off, and you're like, I'll just have a quick look around, and then 3 hours later, you're in aisle 2 of 10.
Yeah, and it's Aladdin's cave.
Yeah, and this is like, wow. And you just feel like buying stuff because they've got it. Not because you need it.
No, that's right. Well, that's the same with all, all photographers have gas gear acquisition syndrome.
Yes, they do. Yes.
They definitely do.
So, yeah, they developed a film. It's actually interesting. I've got the film back, and I also had some 5-inch by 4-inch film that I got developed as well.
Ooh, nice.
But they all came out blurry. Like completely blurry, as if they hadn't been focused properly at all. Ooh. So interesting. So I've actually got they're called the Intrepid camera company. They make these 5x4 lightweight things made out of plywood. This one's actually made it's a 3D printed one. It's pretty cool. And I usually have a dark slide that you put behind and you pull the sleeve out and expose the sheet and all that kind of stuff. But I used what's called a quick changer, which is an old Fuji. Used to be able to put 6 sheets in there. You might not have ever seen one. They're pretty unique. No. But what I think's happened is I think that where I've focused it on the ground glass, and when I've put the 6 sheet holder in, that's actually a bit further back from the ground glass, so the focus is a bit off. So gotcha. I don't think this thing works in this camera. Because I knew I focused them all. I had my little thing up to the eyeglass and did it all. So I paid about $78, $79 to get about 4 or 5 blurry photos back, which is great.
So what you do now is you get them all printed up massive and you sell them off as absolute one-off.
Abstract.
Correct. Then you're laughing.
You know what I could do? I could do what some people do and just say these are aerials and they look awesome. But yeah, so I got that done, and it was a bit disappointing. And I got some film back, and I've noticed that one of my film lenses on my Olympus camera must have something in it, because I get this little right around the top of my photo. I get this little band. But it's only on the one lens, so I've narrowed it down. I've done a bit of trial and error. It's not the film, and it's not the camera body. It's the lens I'm using. So that's one thing I do like about film. Like you see your mistakes, or you see the issues right there and then. Like you can't hide from them. So
yeah, that's right.
It's not to say that I can't go and scan them and fix it all up and stuff like that. But that's the beauty of film. You've really got everything's got to be right. You got to have a clean camera. You got to have a clean lens. The whole thing. So so that was my little
well, Snap. I took my film camera with me up to the Mallee as well.
Right.
Only because I couldn't help it. And I'll probably bring it on the Mallee Murray as well. The K1000 in particular, just with the 50. Ooh. And just use that for the old buildings and stuff. I don't know, that focal range when you're across the street from an old building, it just it works so well. So I'll be looking forward to taking that with.
Yeah. Now your background looks a bit active.
Yeah. So I decided to go with something completely different because why not? I mean, we do bang on about landscape a lot, and that is clearly not a landscape photo. The reason I wanted to put this up, this is a green lake, which is just 10 minutes out of Sea Lake up in the Mallee as well, which is a place that we will be visiting on the workshop, probably if we have time. Full of water at the moment. Like you said, plenty of water everywhere. There certainly was. This is, I think they're called coots or something like that, but there's also a cormorant in that photo as well. This was using the Olympus EM1X and setting it to bird tracking. Now, the reason I've picked this one image out is this is one frame out of a burst of maybe 40 images. But as I was following these birds along, like there's trees passing in front of me, there's reeds, there's other birds going the other way. It was going off. And it still managed to nail the focus on that one bird just right of center. And I was just, and this is in quite low light as well. So I was really impressed. And it took me ages to work out how to use the bird tracking on the EM1X because it didn't have it originally. And then a firmware update came along and I put the new firmware on it last week. And now I can do that kind of stuff. So that's with the 100 to 400 Olympus lens. I was really impressed. It was, in fact, exactly the photo that I was trying to get with that camera at the time.
Yeah, I love the bird tracking. I used a bit of bird tracking up here in the Flinders on our trip, and really great customer of mine, David. He's a very lucky man. He's got the 150 to 400 white series lens, and he brought it along. And he's such a lovely guy. He's like, Cam, just use it whenever you want. Have a go. He kept putting it in my hand. I'm like, I know what it's like, David. I know how good it is. Stop teasing me. But we turned the bird tracking on his camera. He's got the OM1, and we put the bird tracking on with the continuous focus and tracking. And we had these two wedge-tailed eagles just hovering over us for a few minutes, and it's damn bloody good. Like I know the Sonys do it. I'm not sure if the Nikons and Canons have the bird tracking. They have some sort of artificial intelligence of some sort, I imagine.
Yeah.
You wouldn't pay $8,000 for a camera if it didn't.
No.
So you'd think they would have it, but it's very good technology. It actually does a very good job, and it just tracks it through the screen. And like, even smaller birds, we had some little parrots flying around, and it just picks them up in a heartbeat. So
it's crazy good, isn't it? And as I say, when you're panning and you've got other stuff moving in front, it doesn't lock onto that. It stays. I don't know. I'm assuming it's using some form of AI to predetermine where the bird's going to be in the frame in the next few milliseconds. I'm assuming that's how it works.
I think so. And that's about the only time in photography that AI, I think, whilst shooting, is very helpful. When you start getting other things where AI takes over and does stuff, it's going to be a bit funny. But for that, to nail those shots of fast moving objects, I think it's fantastic.
Yeah, absolutely. So, that was our background. So let's get into a bit of photographic chat. We wanted to talk about, there was something that was brought to my attention this week when yet another stalwart of the photographic camera industry had to close their doors, and that was Horsham Camera House. Had to shut their doors back in on June 30. Michael, I actually know Michael. I haven't seen him for quite some time, but I do know Michael back from my days working in Camera House. Lovely man, family man, and it was just such a shame to see yet another camera store closing down. Following suit, like not far behind, Shepparton Camera House, which closed down at the end of last year. And look, there's a few others that have, it seems to be that the Camera House group has lost quite a few stores in the last few years. So we wanted to just have a quick discussion about the cost of doing business, but particularly when it comes to running a photographics retailer. And I use the term photographics loosely in terms of, like, what we're talking about here are camera stores, basically, that have been just on the chopping block since about 2006, 2007.
Right. And what happened in 2006-07? You reckon that started? Is it more online stuff? It sort of took off, was it? Or
100%. So it was always the Amazons of the world and the eBays of the world, and the online, and the constant battle to keep up with the online presence. And it's so ironic because all these stores have an online presence as well. But they sort of got to the party a little bit too late, unfortunately. And trying to put the genie back in the bottle as far as online is concerned, and trying to constantly convince people that it is a really good idea to physically go into a store and handle a camera before you buy it.
Yeah.
I think that's really, really important. And I think a lot of these businesses battled to make that leap, or to adapt to that kind of, encouraging people to their bricks and mortar stores rather than just buying it directly through their website.
Yeah, I think like we saw the start of that a bit when we were working at Camera House as well.
Absolutely.
Well, I did, where less people coming in the store, more online sales, and people start to pick up in store and things like that. And you're right though, like it's one of those things. Buying a camera, you can do all the research in the world you like, but until you physically hold it, you don't really know what you're getting into until you actually have it in your hand. And the only way you can do that is by going into a store and doing it. And what we used to see, which used to do my head in a bit, is people would come in and play around with the camera and go, "Oh, great, what's your price? I'll just go order online from JB Hi-Fi." Or
and they would tell you that too.
Yeah, no problems at all. So it really became purely down to price, which a lot of things are for people in life. But I think people still make the mistake. And I had a customer on this workshop at Flinders Ranges. Actually had a couple of them who had the heavier systems. And why did they get that system? I bought it online, or I had a feel of it, but that was the best price I could get, so I went with that one. Or like, there's a lot of things that drive different people to get stuff. But when you don't actually physically play with the camera, that's when you get stuff in the mail and go, "Oh, hang on a sec, this is actually a lot different," or it doesn't feel comfortable in the hand. And I might have saved a few pennies by buying it online, but maybe I should have gone and seen someone like yourself or a bricks and mortar shop to actually play around with it.
Yeah, I always took it personally when I was in camera retail, when they didn't buy the camera off me and I knew they were going to buy it online. I felt like I hadn't done my job properly. I really enjoyed and you've got the customer in the store for a very short amount of time, and you can lose them really quickly. But I always really enjoyed, showing people, hey, I do know what I'm talking about, and I'll give you the service and the backup later on. So the number of times, mate, where I've had people come in with cameras and, they bought it online. That's fine. I understand price. It's a price driven. Everything's price driven. I get that. But then they, how do I change the aperture? I can't work out and then it's like, well, okay, now had you have bought this off me, like, what do you do in that situation? Do I then stand there and say, "Oh, well, sorry, you didn't buy it off me, get out"? Well, I'm not going to do that.
No.
That's my opportunity to get them to come to my entry-level workshop, of course, or, talk to them about the fact that they bought the world's slowest memory card, and why the hell did you buy a $3 filter for a $2,500 lens?
It's a funny one, is it? Like, I must admit, I was a bit the opposite. Like, I was not a good salesperson when it came to selling cameras. I blame Glenn Lavender for that, because he taught me most of the things I know about selling cameras. But I used to be able to read it pretty early. People would come in and you could see they were just kicking tires they were going to screw you over in price and go somewhere else. And I just tuned out. It's like, yeah, there you go, mate. Buy it. I don't care. You're not going to buy it from me. Then you try and do what you want to do. So so it became annoying for me in that situation, that people had the audacity just to come in and use you so they could go buy it somewhere else. But it's a funny thing. Like, what do you say as a retail person? Do you turn around and say, "Well, hang on a sec, now you're coming to me because you don't know how to use it, or something's broken, or you don't know how to get the lens off, or the battery's you got a dud battery or something like that"?
Yeah, that's right.
Do you turn around and say, "Sorry, you can't. Sorry, I can't help you. You didn't buy it from me. Go back to where you bought it from."
Yeah.
And then you lose customers that way.
I'm not like that. I mean, I as I say, I want to help people.
You'd have the little angel and the devil on the
that's
shoulders,
right, exactly. Yeah. But as Usman Khawaja just loses his castle, but that's another story.
I can see I was watching you too. But that's the thing, though.
Very distracting.
I think, like, I run a photography business, and it's not a retail business; it's a tourism business, so to speak.
Yeah.
But I'm the same. Like, I pride myself on knowing my product, which is what I do. But I think this day and age, like, I don't get too many people trying to screw me over for price. I get a couple of people, and you know, they're generally customers that you don't want anyway, where they'll write you a big email explaining why you're charging too much and why they could, you know, why can't I go with someone else who charges half the price? And, you know, like running your own business, I think we should be able to bite back a bit or push back a bit.
Yeah.
And I think it's good to explain to the listeners on here exactly what the cost of doing business for a retail person is in regards to, like, you've got rent, you've got machinery, you've got staff, you've got electricity, internet, you've got promotional stuff, you've got
insurance,
you've got stock you've got to have. You know, there's huge overheads, and for the sake of me walking in there and maybe saving myself $100, well, that's $100 I save in my pocket, but it's, you know, a few $100 that you don't get in your pocket. That's why these shops are going out of business, because, you know, we're buying stuff online. We're finding it cheaper online. You're buying it from overseas or on eBay or whatever it is. We're only, again, photography seems to be an industry where all we do is, you know, chop off our nose to spite our face. We do all these stupid things that think we're going to make things easier for photography, but in the long run, it's just killing it. That's a death of a thousand cuts, like you say. So, so give us an idea, Brendan, of, without going into too much specifics, how much would you spend a month to have your store running, ballpark figure, based on everything that you'd have to say to, you know, like, it's not, you wouldn't be paying $1,000 a month to run your store, would you?
No, I mean, I'm in Ocean Grove as well, which is, you know, for some reason they see that you're a coastal town, so they think they can charge you Collins Street rents. You know, and it's a catch-22 for me, because I need a retail presence for what I do. I can't run my photographic printing business or my camera retail business from my garage or from a home office. It doesn't work like that, because people need a point where they can drop off and pick up. They need a store where they can see product, you know, see frames, all that sort of stuff. But, you know, without getting too specific, rent alone at the moment for me is around $3,500 a month. You know, and that's not a small amount of money to have to find.
That's a big outlay per month before you make any money.
Before you even turn the key, mate. That's you got to hand that over.
And you don't sell cameras, or hardly any cameras at all, I'd imagine.
No, it's funny. There's actually been a little uptick in this year, actually. A little uptick in cameras. But what I don't do is keep a lot of cameras on the shelf, because here in Ocean Grove, you know, we don't. It's not like in a city store where you get, you know, 100 customers a day looking for a camera. You know, we get 2 or 3. So I'm not going to outlay hundreds of thousands of dollars in stock that's just going to sit there, age, and then I can't sell it. And a good example of that is I was in Camera House in Geelong the other day. Shout out to the guys in there. We're sort of on good terms. We help each other out with. They're doing my film processing for me, you know, and they had on the shelf there some old cameras. You know, that, like, when I say old, I mean some 4, 5, 6-year-old models that are just sitting there. And I was like, man, I don't know, I couldn't do that. Like, So what I do is I do carry a few models here and there, but generally, what people that come to me, they want my advice. You know, because they know what I do. That's where being established for a place for 10 years in Ocean Grove, most locals know if they're looking for a camera, they're going to come and ask me what I think of a particular camera.
But that
I just went way off topic then, but you know what I'm talking about.
But that should be worth something to you, though. Like, people coming into your shop should be saying, "Hey, Brendan, I'm looking at buying this Canon, Nikon, whatever it might be. What do you think of these cameras?" That should be worth something to them. That's right. To give you. But
unfortunately, in this day and age, people don't see it that way, because they see. You know, that they might narrow it down to 4 or 5 cameras through, I don't know, they jump on DigiDirect's website, for example. You know, they look at 4 or 5 cameras. They might then look at a couple of YouTube reviews about the camera. When a person comes into my shop looking for a camera, they're actually looking for affirmation. What they're looking for is for me to say the exact model that they've been looking at. Because that's what they're after. They're after yes, all right, I'm on the right track here. All right, this is, you know. And then when it comes to pricing, that's when people can get a little bit funny, because although look, probably 50% of the time I can compete with online pricing. Every now and then someone will come in with a ridiculous price on a camera that's on Amazon, for example, or it's coming from a grey import. So it's coming from a channel that's not. So let's use Nikon, for example. They're buying a Nikon Z7, but it's not from Nikon Australia.
No.
Yes, it is the same camera. No doubt about that. It's got the same software, firmware. It's got everything's going to work exactly the same. The big problem is if something goes wrong with that camera and it hasn't come through the proper channels, you got nothing.
And based on what I've heard about the Z series,
I'll
set
them, you spike them, mate.
you may or may not need to send it back. There's a guy we know who's sent a few back. It's a real tricky one, and I don't know. Look, I don't know what the outcome of this topic was going to be in regards to are we trying to enlighten people on maybe when they go into a camera store.
I think for me it was the reason I wanted to bring it up was because I see it as a real shame that these. I mean, we're not the only industry where it's happening.
No, that's right.
But I see it as a real shame that are we going to get to a point where you simply can't touch and feel cameras before you buy them, and you can't talk face to face to a real human before you buy them? Are we headed down a path where you're talking to a bot, where you're talking, and you're just handing your money over, you're getting the camera? I don't know. It's a really bland experience. I sincerely hope we're not. And look, it might have been that the herd needed to be thinned anyway. I mean, go back to the 90s.
There was a lot of camera shops.
Camera shop on every corner.
Elizabeth Street had 8 camera shops in 3 blocks at one stage.
Yeah, but I mean, any country town in Victoria that had more than 5,000 people seemed to have at least somewhere where you could buy a camera. Which was pretty amazing, and that was unsustainable when we switched to the online stuff. But it just seems to me that there's too many good people that we're now losing, out of the industry because they can't make a go of it, because the cost of doing business has skyrocketed. People are buying online, and it's a double-edged sword, isn't it? The cost of doing business have skyrocketed for everyone. It's not just us. That's right. The guy that services my car, his costs have gone through the roof. He might be keen on his photography. Well, he can't afford now the more expensive camera, or he's really got a penny pinch now because, he's just not getting the money he was. So everything's tightening up constantly. It is. Constantly, that feels.
Yeah, it is. I'd be interested to see people's comments below about whether or not they would buy, or if they have bought a camera without actually physically holding that camera ever. So if anyone's got a story or a moment where they've actually bought a camera online without physically knowing the camera, if you've just purely read reviews and gone, that's the camera for me, I don't want to hold it, I'm just going to board it, put a comment down below, and we might mention a few of them in the next episode as to how many people. Like, there might be everyone doing it. I don't know. Like, personally, I like to be able to go feel a camera, and especially I don't have big man hands, so some of those bigger cameras I find are actually really big to grip. So I know I've picked up a few cameras on my customers which I've never played before with, and gone, well, okay, that feels a lot different than what I thought it would. Or even like some of the mirrorless Canons that have been on recent trips, you pick them up, they're like, oh, they feel pretty good in the hand, like they're not too bad, and etc. etc. But I don't think I could ever do it. It'd be like buying a car without test driving.
It's so important, important. Even just putting, holding it's one thing, sure, feeling the weight, all that sort of stuff. Putting it up to your eye and looking at the viewfinder and seeing if that suits you, because we all have different levels of vision, all that sort of stuff. The screen, does it do this? Does it flip out, rotate? How fast is the shutter speed? Blah, blah, blah. The frame rate, all that sort of stuff. It's one thing to sit there and read about it. It's definitely another thing to go and have a look at it. So I guess, I don't know. And of course, everyone's going to say Brendan's got a vested interest because he runs a camera store. But at the end of the day, I'm looking out for the industry because it's a worry, man. Like it's a real worry that it's headed that way, and it just seems like the writing's on the wall for probably another 4 or 5 camera shops that I know that are. But
this is the exact same cry out that, from my point of view, we have where, when I've done wedding photography, that people doing, I used to charge a couple of $1,000, $3,000 for a wedding. Now you got people doing it for $500 for the exact same thing. Like, we've got to get smarter as a collective group of photographers, whether or not you're a hobbyist or a professional or whatever it might be. We need to get smarter about how we protect our photography industry, whether or not it's the professionals working, whether or not it's the camera stores, whether or not it's the manufacturers. Like manufacturers are struggling as well.
Yeah.
And whether or not it's about, the hobbyists and making sure that they can get access to stuff like that. Like it's a downward sort of pressure thing. If something,
it's a downward spiral is what it is.
It is. Yeah. If the camera shops don't have camera shops, then everything goes online. If everything goes online, you lose all that sort of hands-on stuff. You don't get the hands-on stuff. You don't get the information. It flows down. So we need to be smarter about it. Yes, saving a few dollars online on a camera or camera gear or memory card or lens, that's great. But really, is it worth losing an industry over or losing a section of it? I don't know.
Yeah, it always cracks me up though when literally people have spent $3,000-$4,000 on the camera, and they'll show me the camera that they bought after they've been in and seen me and asked me which camera they should buy, and they come in and show me, oh, okay, how much did you get it for? And they tell me, and they've saved $80 on a $4,000 kit. And then it's like, but you haven't though. You've actually lost money, mate, because you've lost me.
Well, I remember the classic ones when we were in Camera House. Like I said, we used to have like 5 or 6 camera shops in a block and a half. Yeah. And you'd literally, and this is an insight for those who don't know camera retail, this is the stuff that we had to put up with. So you have a customer come in, as soon as the doors open, they come in, say, I'm after the Nikon F whatever. And they wouldn't look at it. How much is it? It's $1,400. All right. Can you do it for $1,300? They're doing $1,300 up the road. No, it's $1,400. All right. I'll go buy it up the road then. They go up the road. They come back with a business card from JB Hi-Fi that said $1,250. I can get it for $1,250 at JB Hi-Fi. Can you do it for that? No, our price is $1,400. We'll throw in a free filter. Well, they're doing it for $1,250. Like, it'd go on all day long. Yeah. And they come back. People would come back out of their way and say, look, I got it for $1,250 and they gave me a filter. And I'd be like, bravo, mate. How much did you spend on parking in the CBD of Melbourne for the whole day? Oh, $80. You're an idiot. You didn't make money. Yeah. You spent money. So, we all want to skimp a little, and times aren't getting easier with interest rates and everything else that goes on. But if we keep going in that direction, it's going to be camera shops, then it's going to be manufacturers, and then you're just going to have no knowledge left. There'll be no one running workshops or anything like that. We'll have all these people with cameras and nothing to do with them. So I think it's
with phones and
all these people with phones. So look, it's a very interesting topic, and hopefully people might just reconsider next time they come and see Brendan. Don't show off your new camera.
That's right.
Just walk in, look really sad, and say, I got ripped off. I should have bought it from you, Brendan. And
no, just come in and sign yourself into an entry-level photography workshop where I can show you the ropes.
Yeah. Wow. Or even better, come on one of our many workshops that we do all around Australia.
That's right.
But you know what, though? It's funny you say that. Like, one little footnote on that as well.
Yes.
Is that, and this is not blowing my trumpet, it's blowing most of the people that do what I do's trumpets. It's rare, but it's there. But very rarely do you hear someone say, oh, I went and did a such and such workshop with such and such. Geez, I wish I didn't spend that money. Like, so many people, and I think we've said it before, if you had $5,000, what would you do with it? You buy an experience. And the guys I just had on the Flinders Ranges, I had one of my customers write me a lovely message today saying, I'm still on a buzz from it. It was so great. I learned so much. I had such a great time. It was a great experience. That's the kind of stuff that keeps things going around, is that learning stuff, experiences. So, put your money on your photography in the right spots is what I'm trying to say.
I know I've been given feedback from people who've done your workshops. I've been given feedback from, obviously, people who've done my workshops as well. You're exactly right. To a person, everyone says the same thing.
Yeah.
Money well spent, because what's the point in having this beautiful camera if you're going to leave it on auto, or if worse still, you're never going to use it. It's going to stay in a drawer, and I love that. We say this weekly almost, the buzz that we get when someone, the penny drops and people go, right, now I know why I'm keen on photography. I'm now making images rather than just taking images. So I love it.
And so many people, I get that buzz as well. And the buzz for me is, you don't have to shoot on full manual. Aperture priority for landscape photography can do everything. Really? They're like, what? Oh, that's just mind blowing. I don't have to sit here and swear at my camera for an hour before the sun goes down. No, you can just fix it. So yeah, it's money well spent, and it's like I said, it's good to learn how to use your camera. You get to it actually gets you interested in photography. It gives people walk away from those sort of workshops with a buzz, like they want to keep shooting and not put their camera away. So be smart with your money, photography wise, and it'll pay you back in dividends.
If you've got one, if you're lucky enough to have one, support your local camera shop.
Yeah, even if it's just, like I said, buying a memory card or frames or whatever it is, just support them as best you can.
And you know what local camera shops are really good at? Printing your photos.
Yeah,
they are.
You meant to print photos, are you? Because
they're experienced photographers, most of them, who run these stores, and they know how to make good pictures. They're not going to push a button and go and try and sell an air conditioner. They're actually going to stand there and look at your photos and make sure they're good. So,
do you reckon we could get sued by Harvey Norman if we keep hanging as much shit on them as we do?
If people actually bothered to listen to our show, we probably would have been sued 10 times over by various companies, Cam.
I'm really not a fan of Harvey Norman. I went the other day. The TV I'm watching, speaking of the cricket, I went and bought a TV from Harvey Norman. And you know why? Because they were a little bit cheaper than everyone else.
There you go.
And they had it in stock. That's one thing we have an issue down here. If anyone from Camera House Hobart is watching, one of the major reasons why I have never shopped in your shop in Hobart is because you never have stock of anything. Yeah. And when you ask about going in and getting stock, you get this blank look as if to say, well, we don't know if we can get it. So, but I went into there and I bought the TV, and the guy serving me was that typical Harvey Norman. He wanted to get the blood out of the stone. He wanted to be adding on monster cables and motherboards and God knows whatever else. I said, mate, I want the TV. That's all I want. Put me to the checkout. And it took me 20 minutes to get to the checkout.
Yeah.
She said, do my head in.
Extended warranty?
No, didn't need that. He goes, oh, but you need. I said, it's a Sony TV. I've had about 1,000 of them. Never had a problem with one of them.
That's right.
I said, it's a business expense. It's covered under insurance, most likely. Yeah. Oh, you have to go check that out. I'm like, oh, idiot. Yeah. I hate them. I get PTSD when I walk in there. Anyway,
I get it.
That's way off topic.
It's fine. It's good. It's been a roller coaster, this one.
Yes.
Dear Cam, episode 85, Dear Cam.
Yeah, it's a big one. Are we happy to do it?
Yeah, come on. Let's go. Before I do this, quick shout out. We were talking about what we got up to during the week. Monday night, I didn't forget. I just was going to mention it. Monday night, I went and gave a talk at the Ballerine Camera Club.
You did?
On our trip on the Overland, the walk we did on the Overland. And it was incredibly well received.
Were they shocked that you made it?
Very. I was shocked that I made it, Cam, so they were. Very well received. We had a slideshow of the photos, and the questions just came thick and fast. Everyone was really interested in, more interested in the gear that I took to photograph it, but also interested in the actual walk itself. And, because, we did have some pretty ordinary conditions, and people actually, they actually liked that. They thought that was pretty cool that we had the rugged conditions.
That makes us another sequel. This is going way off track here though, but I spoke to our friend Chelsea today, wonderful Chelsea.
Hello,
who
Chelsea.
is actually expecting. So congratulations to Chelsea.
Congratulations.
And she was saying today that it's getting a bit uncomfortable and all this kind of stuff. Mm-hmm. I said, lucky that we walked the overland track in sideways sleet and snow. And she's like, oh yeah, something like this. I said, remember, that was character building. She goes, yeah, I don't need any more character building. I'm like, hold that thought for a few more months.
That's right.
And then I said, when you're trying to push that out, then you can reflect back on the overland track of all that character you built. And anyway, all right, let's get on to Dear Cam, and then we'll get off here and stop talking shit.
Dear Cam and Brendo. Well, hey, look at that. See, people feel relaxed and comfortable enough to just throw a nickname out there.
I bet you he won't buy a camera off you though.
It's not my favorite nickname of all time, but that's fine. I'll take it. Cammy.
It's better than Dick Lips.
Imagine if it said Cammy and Brendo.
Cammy.
All right. Yeah. Firstly, loving the show. They're always good if you start with platitudes. That's good.
Yeah.
Listen to most of it on podcast during my day between seeing clients. Nice. Sorry, this is from Brett.
Yes.
Yeah, we don't do surnames, but it's from Brett.
Brett W.
Brett W. Great laugh and learning all sorts of things. Hey, we're here to. We
Is he sure he's listening? Is he listening to our podcast?
Yeah,
Sure
I think
not.
he said
There wouldn't be
this
another
isn't even
one
a
as good as this.
photography question. He sent this to the wrong podcast. No, it's fine. I love doing landscape and have improved over the years, but probably haven't taken full advantage of all the features of my Olympus. We do come off as a bit of Olympus bias on this show.
That's why I said, do we want to read this one? Because it does. Right. It is a bit Olympus bias.
I currently have an EM1 Mark III, nice, and was wondering what sort of features you would recommend on it that aren't just standard things on any camera. Okay. I have tried the ND filters, which is what I would have started with, and really liked them, but I know there are many more things available. Like most, I have read part, but not all of the manual. Don't read the manual, Brett. Just don't.
No.
I'm working my way through the 1,000,000 pages. There are a lot of pages in a manual.
There are.
I don't know why. Yeah. Thanks for the great show, and it's awesome to have an Olympus photographer to listen to. Keep up the great work, Brett.
Thanks, Brett.
So I think in a nutshell, his question is, are there other features on his camera or the Olympus system that he should explore cam?
I'd say read the manual.
Yeah, same. Okay, that's been episode.
No, look, I think the neutral densities are great. On the Mark III, EM1 Mark III, as long as the firmware's been updated,
yes,
he'll have some of the AI stuff on there, the bird tracking and things like that. I think it's definitely, even if you're not a bird photographer or wildlife photographer as such, give it a go because it is very impressive. What else would I think? If you're doing starscapes, having it's got the starry sky autofocus, but the live composite is a lot of fun.
Live comp. When I first saw live comp in action, it blew my mind, and that was like in like 2015 or whenever it came out.
It's witchcraft, isn't it? How it works.
It's just the best feature.
And I'm sure Brett has, if he hasn't already, look up Dennis Smith, who's an Olympus ambassador out of South Australia. He does a lot of light painting and live composite in really cool landscapes. So have a look at him. I'd probably try some of the live composite stuff and the AI. That's probably what I do. The other thing that's quite interesting on the Mark III is also the high res mode. Yes. So I found myself when I was going out with that camera, and I do it still with the OM1. If I find a really nice landscape or a shot behind me like this one, I'll always take one in high res mode, just in case I do really want to blow it up big. The Mark III, I think it does only 50 megapixels on a tripod, as opposed to the OM1, it does 80 megapixels, but that's still plenty of pixels to blow up big. So yeah, I reckon the starry autofocus, the AI, the live composite, and the high res, they're some really cool features that a lot of other cameras don't necessarily have. So yeah. What about you?
Well, not that we're a video channel, but the video mode on any of the OM system cameras, unbelievable. In particular, the image stabilization. You can film with this thing, and the image stabilizer is so good that you can run flat out. Well, which is about what
2 kilometers an hour
for me. Yeah. And stable as anything, really cool. Which then should give you enough confidence to know that the image stabilizer for your still photos is bloody awesome as well. So there's a lot to like about that camera.
The other thing I also encourage a lot, doesn't matter necessarily what Olympus it is, but mainly the EM1 and the OM1, is actually don't put it away when it starts raining.
Yes.
Like people just don't believe me when I'm like, I just shoot in all conditions. But what about if it's bucketing down rain? Yep. I put a lens hood on and I keep shooting. So Brett, if you did get the chance, use it. And when everyone else is putting their cameras away, feel free to keep shooting it, because the lenses are weatherproof to most of them, the pro lenses, and the body is weatherproof to a very high standard. So feel free to keep shooting through all situations, and that'll give you an advantage over everyone else, I think.
Yes, absolutely. Good answer. Well done. That was Dear Cam. If you have a Dear Cam question, please send it in to us. Hit us up with the links below, all that kind of fun stuff. And I didn't mention this, but the Ballerine Camera Club members, every single one of them, there's about 40 people there. Every single one of them said that they're going to subscribe to the Down South Photo Show.
Really? On YouTube? On
YouTube. So let's see if we get a spot. Every one of them. They promised me.
Why is it only going up about 12 since the last episode?
I know. I might have to have words. I might have to just a friendly little reminder.
Am I
But-
doing a talk there as well? I think I've been invited to do a talk there.
Are you? Nice. I'll come in. I'll
Who's the
sit
guy?
in the crowd and heckle.
Who's the guy that runs it?
I can't remember.
Right, yeah. I think
Vicky invited me, and via Stan, Vicky, I think you know, you've met.
Yeah,
Vicky.
I know Vicky. Yeah.
Yeah. All right. Well, next time you're in our neck of the woods,
maybe
we should both go and do it and have a little double act,
like Bert and Ernie. I think maybe it's the Geelong Camera Club. I think I'm talking at.
Possibly. Shout out to Jeff as well, who the next day came in and placed an order for an OM5 with me. That was very nice of you, Jeff. Thank you.
Good stuff, Jeff.
Nice. Beer donations.
Yes, we had 2 beer donations over the last week and a half. Jenny and Mel.
Yeah. Is that the Jenny C?
It is the Jenny C, and it is the Jenny. Mel. The Mel That's H right. And the Jenny C. Right. Mel's upped his game, though. He bought us a jug. Yeah.
Attaboy. Yeah. Mel had a fantastic time in Japan.
Yes, he did, didn't he? He actually took the Down South hoodie on a road trip.
I know. We are internationally famous. Apparently he was inundated by people wanting to know what was going on with his T-shirt.
Can you imagine the what happens in whatever the Times Square equivalent in Japan, Tokyo is? All the Japanese people asking him stuff. Hey, you know what? We do have, you know how I got my hairy talk hoodie here?
Yes.
You know, we do have Down South photo hoodies that people can purchase if they want to.
This is true.
No, only if they want to.
No, they are outstanding. DSPS.com.au to order your merch. Jump on, have a look-see. Cam, what do you got coming up?
Nothing. 4 weeks off.
You are going to watch some Ashes cricket.
Yes, I'm going to get off here and watch this. He's just inside edged it past the keeper for 4. Yes, it's all happening. It's all happening. We should maybe do.
It's a lively first session is what it is.
I'm telling you now, if you want to make $1 squillion out there, people, go find a way that you can commentate on either cricket or Australian rules football, but like a normal Australian would in the backyard of his house.
Yes.
Uncensored, on a few beers. You'll make if you can get that and put it online, you'll make a truckload.
Yes.
Good luck getting the licensing though.
I think that's why it hasn't happened already.
No, so I got 4 weeks off. I'm just finishing building with helping my mate Jamie, or more so him helping me, building a deck on the front porch, and then I've got to move, like I said, about 3.5 cubic meters of chopped wood for my fire.
Brilliant.
And then I'm back onto doing daddy day runs to school and things like that.
Fantastic.
And catching up on a few things. What about you? I guess you're just busy.
So after my little sojourn up north, I'm busy doing lots of stuff, running the shop. It's what I'm doing at the moment is actually I print for a couple of local school photographers, kindergarten photographers.
I saw them the other day.
Yeah, and they've come thick and fast. My goodness. We've got a lady, Mary. I'm not sure whether she listens to the show or not, but hey, Mary. Fantastic local photographer. Did we just lose another wicket? Anyway, doesn't matter. Oh, that was a replay. That's okay. Jeez. And she dropped off like literally thousands of images for me to do this week. So
right.
Heavily into that at the moment, but it's not all work and no play. I am going to play golf tomorrow.
So you don't take the school photos, you just print them.
I just print them for these lovely people, which is great.
Right. Who doesn't like? Does the person who takes them bring them in, or do the schools bring them in?
No, the person who takes them. So the person who takes them goes to the school or the kinder, whatever it is, takes the photos, does all the editing, puts them up on their website where parents can order the photos.
Yep.
They stay on there for about a month, and then they collate all the orders and send me all the printing.
Oh, very good.
Yeah, no, it's a good little gig. I do like it. There was something else I wanted to mention, but I can't remember what it is. So we'll hold that over till next week, no doubt. This has been a somewhat interrupted.
It has. I'm going to interrupt you. I'm going to do
a quick score review?
No, that's a timeout. No, I just want to do a quick shout out to my good helper Dan, 5-star Dan.
Good on your 5-star.
5-star. Such a good name, isn't it? He came along and helped me in the Flinders. He's actually coming down to Cradle Mountain next month.
Brilliant.
To do my Cradle Mountain winter workshop. He's in for a shock because he generally wears shorts 24/7. So anyway, I just want to give him a quick shout out and say thanks. Over to you. Nice. That's it. Good show. Done.
Nice work. That's it. That's the podcast. That's it for episode 85. We will see you. You're all done?
I think so.
no further offers.
No.
We will see you for episode 86 of the Down South Photo Show next week. Bye for now.
Ciao.
Give it a hooroo.
Hooroo. I was going to, then I'm like, you're going to hang shit on me.
Hooroo.
Hooroo.